What's your favorite line? So I live on the blue line, and I've really grown to appreciate the blue line. It's so efficient.
Dark Horse.
I'm into the new green line that goes to Somerville now. Honestly, it is upgraded. It's made my life so much easier. So got to go with the green for sure.
Green through and through is most used, but it's loud. It's somewhat unreliable. Red line.
Red line. Now that is a dark horse.
Yeah.
That is a dark horse.
That's what I was thinking.
The orange line is definitely where the most interesting stories I have.
Absolutely.
From. So I do always appreciate that. Peter, you rocking the green line, Somerville? Red line. You're a red line guy.
Yeah. Orange line, I feel like just gets a little. Every time I've been on it, I'm just like, yo, this is like so slow. Like, what's going on?
You guys really got to try out the blue line more. It's crazy.
I haven't done that. I don't think I've done it yet. Whatever.
I don't know really if you're in the market to go to like Revere, but if you are, I recommend.
Shout out North Boston.
I think I went on the orange line once and I lost my wallet. And that was the last time.
Sounds about right,
Never again.
I think it's a Tribe Called Quest song. I left my wallet on the orange line. No, it's also Gundam.
So I mean, Boston isn't necessarily a music industry hub, and obviously you guys are pursuing a career in music. So I kind of would love to chat about that. Like, what do you think the kind of like risks and rewards are pursuing a career in music away from a music hub? Or perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe you think Boston is a music hub.
So, I mean, like, I think Boston is a super interesting city just because, like, it is sort of a music hub because you have, like, Berkeley, you have New England Conservatory, you got some schools here that they develop some cats here, you know what I mean? So it's, like, it's super cool to see, like, that there is a music scene, even though you don't really hear much about, like, huge artists that have come out, and there have been big artists who've come out here, but like you just don't hear about that as much as like other cities like Nashville or Chicago or New York, but I think just having this student base of like so many good musicians who go to Berkeley, like that's for us has been a huge thing because I mean for me and Scott, like we didn't study music, like we studied something completely different from what we're doing right now, you know what I mean? And like having access to people who went to Berkeley, that's how we met David, you know what I mean? Like it's all a huge circle, whether it's the house show scene or the old venues that used to exist, like the Great Scott or Thunder Road, ROP, like all these places, like that's where we started out. And that's with a bunch of different musicians from the city, whether they went to Berkeley or they didn't go to Berkeley, you know what I mean? There's a huge hub of musicians here that allows you to just be creative in so many different ways,
But it's like we were talking radio earlier, like Boston historically was the hub of radio. Like Boston was huge in music scene, it used to be. And I think that generation is still around and like they're rooting for the next round of cats coming up the pipeline and emerging artists, and it's cool to connect with people like that. But it's also kind of hard to discern, like, okay, is this a conversation about advice or is this a conversation of like, well, how can we do this? Like, what can we do here? The nice thing, especially with David being in Rochester, is we have a good meeting point, which is New York City. I mean, that's a 3.5 hour ride if you time it right. So that's really not that bad. And it's funny, like we always joke about with people, we're like, oh, when are you playing in Boston again? It's like, oh yeah, technically we're a Boston hometown band, but we play more in New York City that it feels like, if anything, New York's a hometown more so. Like we haven't played in Boston since March of 2022.
Oh, dang.
We toured twice in between, go to New York a fair amount. Like we're in Midwest, we were like, hit a little bit farther south, like DC, Baltimore, Nashville. It's like Boston's great. We've done a lot, but I think we're excited to kind of reconvene and like get back to like, hey, like this is our home no matter how we feel about it. And we're talking about moving elsewhere potentially, but I don't know, like it's like a dysfunctional home. There are things you like about it, things you don't, but you just gotta, I guess, like appreciate it as much as you can and take what you can and learn from and use that to your advantage. Like all I was saying, the pipeline of just great musicians here.